Lowe's.
Feast Week presented by Lowe's continues from the Lahaina Civic Center on the island of Maui, the third place game in the 2014 EA Sports Maui Invitational. The Kansas State Wildcats take on the Pittsburgh Panthers. Later tonight, the championship game, Arizona against San Diego State. Aloha, everyone. Welcome back to Maui. Sean McDonough along with the coach, Fran Fraschilla. Delighted to have you with us. Important game for these two teams. Big difference between leaving this tournament with one win instead of two. And in the case of Kansas State, they're in position to finish third because Marcus Foster has had two very big scoring nights.
And the impressive thing, Sean, with Marcus Foster is everybody's game planning for this guy. He's the leading scorer in the tournament coming into today, almost 24 points a game, and he's made 11 threes. Outstanding score at the rim. The jump shot is dropping, and you can bet Jamie Dixon needs a game plan defensively today for him.
And you speak of Jamie Dixon and the Pittsburgh Panthers. Potentially, this could be a really rough trip over to Hawaii. They played a game before this tournament Friday night here against the University of Hawaii and lost. Their only win in the two games in this tournament so far is against Chaminade. So if they don't win today, it's really a disastrous trip.
It is, and the one thing they have done well is they've rebounded the ball very well, especially on the offensive end. They've got to convert that into some easy baskets around the rim and go at Kansas State. Thomas Gibson, the outstanding low post player for the Wildcats, propensity to foul and sit long stretches on the bench.
Take a look at the starting lineups for Kansas State. Javon Thomas is the starting point guard. He'll split time there with Nigel Johnson. Foster, 20-plus points in both games here. Wesley Awundu does a little bit of everything. Nino Williams, an effective player despite the fact he's just 6'5" at forward. And Bruce Weber says keeping Thomas Gibson out of foul trouble is a key today. Playing only 6 first-half minutes in the first two games. For Pittsburgh, James Robinson has scored 17 in the first two games here, in each of them, with Chris Jones in the backcourt, Jamel Artis, Michael Young, their leading scorer, and Derek Randall, the starting lineup for Pitt. First meeting ever in basketball between Pittsburgh and K-State. Vern Harris, Randy McCall, and Jeff Nichols are the officials, and K-State in the purple won the tip.
Kansas State runs good, efficient half-court offense, screen well, move the ball side to side well.
Nino Williams bangs home the jumper. Good start for the Wildcats, and let's thank them for the purple uniforms. They're wearing their school colors tonight, and with names and numbers you can see. Much appreciated. Artis swings it quickly to Chris Jones. Long two didn't go, and then a foul on the rebounding action. And it's against Nino Williams. His first for Coach Bruce Weber in his third year in Manhattan, Kansas, the NCAA tournament. Each of the first 2 years, he and Lon Kruger are the only K-State coaches to take the Wildcats to the NCAA each of their first 2 seasons. And we have another foul before the ball's even inbounded.
Bruce Weber saying, as long as it's not on Thomas Gibson, I'm okay with that.
It was on Wes Awundu, his first. Jones. And now Robinson, one of the best assist turnover ratio men in the country, but he hasn't been here. Young, an air ball, and another foul. And it's another Kansas State foul.
This bodes well for Pittsburgh because they have hit the boards really hard in these first 2 games.
Marcus Foster called for the foul. So 3 fouls against the Wildcats in 51 seconds. Jones, one of the few bright spots in that loss Friday night to Hawaii, travels. He had 19 points in the 4-point defeat on the other side of Maui. That was a career high.
He's their best outside shooter, only a sophomore.
And that is a weakness for Pitt without Cameron Wright. Their leading returning scores out with a broken foot. They're not a good outside shooting team. Jones called for his first foul. As you saw, K-State 3-2. Open with home wins against Southern Utah and UMKC. Then they stopped Friday night in Long Beach to take on LBSU and lost to Dan Munson's team. Beat Purdue here Monday night and then lost a tight one to Arizona by 4 points last night. Nino Williams, as usual, his spirited effort. And look at all their teammates run over to help up the guys who are on the floor.
Those are the things you do every day in practice. The coaches preach that, and we've seen that a number of times in this tournament.
Ron Thomas plays it into Gibson. Thomas, a sophomore from Queens, New York. Shot clock down to 7. A 1-2. Now Foster. I'm not sure he realizes the shot clock's at 2. Now he does. And an air ball. Shot clock violation. Good defense. Jamie Dixon. That's been the trademark of his teams during the 12 years at Pittsburgh. One of the winningest coaches of all time. Through his first 11 seasons, he won 288 games. 4th most in history in their first 11 years. The takeaway and the dunk by Marcus Foster.
Well, if you're James Robinson, he's a smart player. Do not save the ball under your own basket. Heady play by Foster.
About a third of K-State's points this season through the 5 games have come directly off opponents' turnovers. They've done a terrific job of turning the opponent over and converting those turnovers into points. Michael Young traveled.
Well, watch right here. You see the inbound. Sloppy play, and then James Robinson. That's one thing you don't want to do. Just throw it down the floor or eat it.
And for those who might be curious, the only coaches who won more games in their first 11 years than Jamie Dixon are Roy Williams, Thad Matta, and Mark Few. Nice company to be in. Beautiful lob by Thomas, and the dunk by the very athletic Wesley Iwundu.
Great growth from Javon Thomas, the point guard from Queens, New York. Stepped into the lineup halfway through last year without any practice time. Had academic issues. Sean much more under control this year. More of a pure point guard.
They've developed a very nice tandem with Nigel Johnson. Really a point guard duo. They combined to average 15 points and 7 assists per game. They combined for about 3.5 steals per game as well. Young in trouble in the lane. Artis for 3. Jamel Artis gets Pittsburgh on the board more than 3 minutes in. The 1-2. I think that was intended for Thomas, although Foster was right behind him. It could have been intended for either one. And a 3 for Foster, who's been on fire from beyond the arc in the tournament. Now 12 out of 19 from 3-point range. And Fran, one of those misses was the heave at the end of the shot clock when they had the violation a moment ago.
So many of those threes have been really tightly guarded, too.
To take out the disastrous game he had Friday night in Long Beach when he went 1 for 13 from the floor and 0 for 6 from 3. As Young fires and misses, and Gibson kept alive for a 1-2. You take that game out, and obviously you can't. Foster has shot 65% in the other 4 games from 3-point range. Strong drive by Javon Thomas. And he was fouled by James Robinson, his first, in our first media timeout. No sign of tired legs yet for Marcus Foster.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Madden NFL Mobile, EA Sports, it's in the game, and the Quicksilver Card from Capital One. Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back every purchase, every day.
rocking the hoops at the Lahaina Civic Center. But let me give you a geography lesson from right here in Maui. That island over there, Lanai, the Dole Plantation, now owned by the mega billionaire Larry Ellison. He owns the whole island. Back out here, underneath those clouds, Molokai, the friendly island. Now, I've never recruited over there, so I wouldn't know. And then right here, Kaanapali Beach. Basketball here, all the fans and teams are staying down on the beach. Hoops and great surfing, great swimming, and parasailing.
Maui County Director of the Chamber of Commerce, Fran Fraschilla.
And don't forget the beautiful golf courses up in Kapalua.
Absolutely. Right? Great golf on this island. Weather's been spectacular as usual. K-State leading Pittsburgh 9-3 in this third-place game. Javon Thomas missed the first of 2 free throws.
This young man committed to St. John's. Then he committed to Dayton. Didn't work out. Went to prep school in Wisconsin. And Bruce Weber grabbed him. And he's got a lot of guys like Javon Thomas. Not highly recruited guys, but become good players.
Saw a moment ago Marcus Foster getting a rest. Towel around his neck. Third game in 3 days for both teams. So managing the minutes is a priority for these coaches. Robinson, I mentioned one of the best assist-to-turnover ratio men in the country last year, but in this tournament, 8 assists and 9 turnovers, uncharacteristic for James Robinson. He has been scoring. He had 17 in each of the first 2 games, and he has his first 2 this afternoon with that bucket.
Yeah, that turnover ratio, Sean, is a two-edged sword because they want James Robinson to be more on the attack, like we've seen in this tournament. Obviously, they don't want a lot of turnovers.
And they need him to score more than he has in the past without Cameron Wright. And with the departure of Lamar Patterson, who's drafted in the NBA, and Khalid Zana, a terrific big man. Stephen Hurd off the bench, little jump hook and an air ball. Robinson from Mitchellville, Maryland, the Matha Catholic. In the backcourt now with Josh Newkirk, number 13. Joseph Ochibo lost the ball. 4th Pittsburgh turnover already. And a 3 wouldn't go out of the corner from Trey Harris, the freshman from Edwardsville, Illinois, number 5, who's come on for Bruce Weber. Artist, a lot of room in the lane, and Ochibo with the easy lay-in. Ochibo started the first 4 games, but he's only played about 7 minutes per game. He generally starts and doesn't see very much action thereafter.
Well, we saw him for 1 minute last night. He made the cameo and never to be seen from again until today.
Nigel Johnson in at point guard now, 23. This is Malik Harris. And now Justin Edwards, the transfer from the University of Maine, who got fouled on a hand check. Jamel Artis called for his first foul.
We've been talking about Edwards throughout this tournament, the young man who transferred from Maine, and last 3 games he's really struggled. 1 for 16 from the field, and he's really a good athlete. I almost think they put him in that starting lineup early in the year a little too quickly. Wonder was hurt.
And he's gone very quickly back to the bench. Bruce Weber thinks it's just a matter of him getting comfortable. Played well in their first 2 games, but as Bruce said, those were home games. Then you go on the road, hostile environment at Long Beach. You come over here playing on national TV. It's still an adjustment period for Justin Edwards. Sheldon Jeter in off the Pittsburgh bench to transfer from Vanderbilt with his first basket.
Yeah, for Edwards, it's not like going to play John Gallagher and the Hartford Hawks, you know. It's a little bit different. He'll adjust.
Six unanswered points for Pittsburgh. 7 minutes gone by. They're within a point. Foster. Malik Harris, freshman, Northern Park, Illinois. Foster well guarded by Chris Jones. And again, the shot clock under 10. Long 2 would not fall for a Wundu. Newkirk out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Jeter jacks another, a little bit long with a deep 2, and it got pinballed around to Wesley Iwundu.
Jeter's another guy that hasn't gotten going for Jamie Dixon yet. A man that grew up in Beaver Falls, long line of Jeters in that community.
Second K-State turnover. Stephen Hurt couldn't run it down along the far sideline. Both teams substituting liberally. Interesting, too, how teams manage this trip, friend. Pittsburgh's going to fly home tonight. They're going to go back to the hotel, grab their stuff, and take a red-eye back tonight. And Kansas State's going to stay, then enjoy Thanksgiving tomorrow and go snorkeling.
And the first game back, no matter who you play against, is always tricky. I can attest to that. You gotta get back and get your legs. It's a long trip, takes a lot out of you, dehydrates you.
Michael Young with the shot clock at 4, missed a shorty, and Thomas Gibson ripped it down. Senior from Cedar Hill, Texas, with his first rebound. Nigel Johnson underneath for Gibson.
Nicely done. Good patience by the sophomore. Gibson knows on his screen the roll, go right to the rim, sprint to the rim.
He's their second leading scorer for the year, just under 14 per game. That basket was the first tonight for Thomas. 11 minutes to go, first half. Third place game. And after this one, it's Arizona and San Diego State for the 31st EA Sports Maui Invitational Championship. Newkirk. Artis all alone for the tip-in.
I like this kid. He's only a sophomore from Baltimore, has that Charm City toughness, does a lot of things well. Not a great shooter, but a Pitt type of player.
As you mentioned at the beginning of the telecast, the one thing Pitt has done well in both games is rebound. Even though they lost comfortably to San Diego State last night, as traveling is called, against Nino Williams. They did out-rebound San Diego State 35-21. They had 17 offensive rebounds. They get after it on the offensive glass. 10:24 to go in the half. And we're back at the EA Sports Maui Invitational. Kansas State leads by 1 as we go inside the play with Fran Fraschilla.
Here's something Jamie Dixon will point out when they watch the film of this game. Some pick and roll defense. Now watch at the point of the screen. Michael Young's going to show hard, and then when Gibson rolls, Chris Jones has got to tag Gibson until Young gets inside, and Young doesn't do a great job either of sprinting back. You see Chris Jones just guarding air, but you made the point. The injury last night, right?
He turned an ankle last night, but if he's out there, I think Jamie Dixon, I know Jamie Dixon, knowing him as well as we both do, expects better effort than that.
Yeah, that, I would have certainly been all over that.
Young, the sophomore, jammed the brakes on. Good ball movement leads to an open 3 for Josh Newkirk. And another offensive rebound for Pittsburgh. That one from Young, but then he was stripped on the floor. In transition, Foster short with a 3. Nino Williams an offensive rebound. Thomas got brushed as he tried to escape the double team. Fouls on Michael Young, his first. And one of the bright spots, I think, Fran, of this early season for Pitt is Michael Young. Look at those numbers. Career high, his first career double-double against Chaminade the other night. Jamie Dixon said he's worked hard on his body, and you can see quicker around the basket, especially in the offense.
He is. I worry about him in ACC play because he's going to have to play a lot of center. And but he's a mismatch at times because he can play outside as well.
Gibson in the lane, surrounded by Panthers. Nino Williams Nicely done. Baseline jumper from about 14 feet. 4 points for the senior from St. Louis.
When you watch Thomas Gibson to get doubled right there, you get the sense he's been doubled a lot in his career because he knew exactly where to go with it.
Ryan Luther into the game for Pittsburgh, number 4, freshman. And some banging along the edge of the lane, and that's going to go against Thomas Gibson. His first.
Watch this, Sean. Watch how quickly he puts the Panthers in rotation. Double team means there's an open man somewhere. Great ball reversal. That's good coaching. That's worked on every day.
Chris Jones missed a 3. Nice rebound by Luther. Now Derek Randall, the senior, powered his way to the bucket and got fouled. It's on Javon Thomas, his first, and the 5th on the team. So Derek Randall is at the line. Set the tournament record with 21 rebounds Monday night against Chaminade at 11 points. Then against the much more athletic bunch last night against San Diego State. Just 2.
He's still in the top 2 in rebounding in the tournament.
Yes.
It just happened all in one game.
That kind of reminds me when they said, you know, the Aaron brothers combined to hit the most home runs among brothers in Major League Baseball history.
Tommy Aaron, right? I get that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. How many did he hit? I don't know.
No idea.
I have no idea.
Red Sox had a player, Eddie Pellegrini, in the 40s, later coached at Boston College, was a real character. He used to talk about the season that he and Ted Williams combined to hit 46 home runs. I think Pelly had 2 for 1. 8.5 minutes to go. First half, 3rd place game, 3rd game of the day here. Earlier today, Missouri handled Chaminade in the 7th place game. They're in a win for Coach Kim Anderson over here. And terrific overtime game for 5th place. Purdue beat BYU 87-85. And traveling is the call. The 4th turnover against K-State.
Nino Williams would have been just as better off catching and shooting that ball. He came out of the corner and was open because this man had to help on the roll.
Mike Swanson, our crack statistician, tells us Tommy Aaron hit 13 home runs.
There we go.
You would expect one of the top executives in baseball to know that answer. How about Ryan Luther, the freshman, stepping out beyond the arc to drain a 3, the 6'9" forward, showing a nice touch from beyond the arc for the year. Now he's 3 out of 4.
Well, he and Cam Johnson, the 2 freshmen from Pittsburgh, I really like those guys.
Well, they double Gibson again. They're determined to make him get rid of it. Foster, tough one in the lane. Yanked down by Randall. Pittsburgh looks to attack quickly. Robinson to the goal. Count the basket and a chance for a 3-point play.
Great pass by Ryan Luther. He made the 3, and it looked like he might pull the trigger again, but he found Robinson. The svelte Robinson. Good look right here. Robinson with the strength. Gets to the line.
And he'll be at the line with a chance to give Pittsburgh its first lead when we come back. This is underway. It started earlier today with a big upset. Butler takes down number 5 North Carolina, the first loss of the season by a team ranked in the top 5. Coverage continues tomorrow on ESPN. Semifinal action at 1 and 3 Eastern time. ESPN is the home court of college hoops. We're told that Wisconsin is comfortably ahead of UAB as we speak. As we went to the break, I said James Robinson would have a chance to give them the lead. They've already had the lead on his basket. The scoreboard, not to throw other people under the bus, but I'm going to anyway, had 14-14. They move slowly here in Maui. No big race to get the points up.
You rarely make a mistake. So,
and when I do, I want to make sure everybody knows it wasn't my fault.
I like the way James Robinson's been playing. You'll see him a couple times this year. And I don't mind the extra turnovers if he's going to stay aggressive and create some offense for himself and his teammates.
Pittsburgh by 3. They battled back from an early 7-point deficit. Gibson got knocked to the floor, and he'll shoot 2. I felt coming into this game, friend, that K-State was the favorite. The way the two teams have played so far.
Based on the way they played last night against Arizona. I mean, that game went right down to the wire. They cut it to 2, and Pittsburgh did not play well against San Diego State. I would agree with you.
Foul was on Derek Randall, his first, and the 5th Pittsburgh team foul. So now Gibson. Fully healthy now after off-season shoulder surgery that really hampered him at the end of last season. To his credit, he did not use it as an excuse and still played pretty well. But every time he got bumped, it hurt. And the coaches were saying sometimes it was coming out 3 or 4 times in a game.
Yeah, you know what? He's been an ultimate warrior. And I mentioned yesterday, got a lot of feedback on this. He'll leave Kansas State as in recent years one of the most popular players because he gives you 100%, and he's really a good guy. Would love to see him on campus. You know that weight issue that he worked on? There's a great donut place in Manhattan, Kansas called Varsity Donuts. We were in there last year for a game, Holly Rowe and Brent Musburger and I, and he walked right by the donut shop, never stopped.
Young slipped but didn't travel. Artis looks like he did travel and got away with it. And it's saved by Javon Thomas. Into Gibson again. They come to double him. That's clearly the defensive game plan for Jamie Dixon and his staff. Foster lost it off his leg. Robinson the push. Robinson the turnover. A little sloppy here. It's starting to look like a pickup game at lunchtime. Foster the dunk.
Good hustle. Good look up the court by the freshman, Trey Harris. That ball had a little helium in it, but it got there.
So K-State leads by 1 with 6 minutes to go in the half. And there are a couple of wet spots on the court. Well, the officials have called out the towels and mops.
You know what I like about watching freshmen? You see those 2 Pitt kids, Cameron Johnson and Ryan Luther. We talked about both of them. Jamie Dixon thought about redshirting them. When they're juniors and they're 20 pounds heavier, they're going to be very, very good players.
That's been a constant through the 12 years with Jamie Dixon. Their players get better. They've done a tremendous job as a coaching staff over the years in skill development. Cameron Johnson, that's a 3. Why redshirt that stroke?
That's called right on cue, by the way.
His first bucket. Johnson shooting more than 40% now from beyond the arc for the year. Foul as Williams went up, and that'll help because, as we mentioned, without Cameron Wright, hopefully for not much longer, their leading returning scorer at more than 10 per game last year, and without Deron Johnson for the season, Deron on the right there, suspended for the year, they need some additional outside scoring help.
Well, there's no question. They need scoring, no matter where it comes from. Yeah.
Cameron Johnson called for his first foul. Team 6th, and here's Nino Williams at the line. Their 3rd leading scorer for the year, just over 10 per game. 70% free throw shooter.
Well, we saw Ryan Luther hit that 3. Now watch the drive to the basket and then the presence of mind. Look, where he right into the shooting slot. Cam Johnson comes. Luther makes a nice delivery.
Wesley Iwundu returns for K-State. Justin Edwards goes back to the bench. Luther, another three. 6 points off the bench on a couple of three-point goals for the freshman from the Pittsburgh suburbs. Nigel Johnson from an athletic family. His dad, Sidney, played 4 years in the NFL. Defensive back with the Chiefs in Washington. Gilbert Johnson, the rebound. Gilbert Johnson's son, I should say. Cameron, the rebound. Gilbert played at Pitt. I was going to ask you to remember Cameron's dad, but you remember everything, so it's a dumb question.
He was on those teams with Sean Miller, Jason Porter, Terrell Porter, excuse me, Jason Matthews.
In the late 1980s.
Yep.
4 to shoot, so Gilbert's son lets it fly. Cameron missed. We're under 4 minutes to go in the half. Pittsburgh by 3. I'm impressed by the effort level. You saw a couple of times Pittsburgh on offense, plenty of movement. They both teams like to have fresh legs, despite the third game in as many days. Arundu lost it. And now Luther runs the court. Great hustle back by Nino Williams to block it.
And I think Ryan Luther just misstepped.
And Nigel Johnson misses a 3. Stephen Hurd, a nice rebound. Michael Young, I take back what I said as it pertains to him. He does look tired. And Hurd threw it right to Robinson. Robinson, tough shot. He made it in a 1-2 foul. Second foul on Wesley Iwundu. And another media timeout.
Well, James Robinson, the DeMatha grad, using that new body, the strength, the quickness. He gets to the line, and that's going to help the Panthers.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving.
Thank you. Here's some notes from our tournament. Arizona, number 3 team in the country, has advanced to the championship game with wins over Missouri and K-State. They'll take on San Diego State, the other ranked team in the Maui field. They won in double overtime against BYU and then beat Pitt last night. And history made with 10 threes by Chase Fisher of BYU against Chaminade and Derek Randall's 21 rebounds, the single game tournament record.
We made history this week.
A lot of history. Seems like every year history is made here of some kind or another.
Chase Fisher, he made his first 9 yesterday. I got over here for the last 5.
James Robinson, the free throw. And one streak did continue here for the 12th straight year. Aaron Stoikoff, our producer, has not picked up a check in Maui. Largest lead of the game for Pitt. Justin Edwards' pass did not connect with Gibson, but K-State will play it in with 17 to shoot. Javon Thomas. And now Edwards. Whitby, Ontario. You mentioned the University of Maine, where for 2 years he averaged more than 15 points per game, showing that 45-inch vertical leap as he went to the rim to flush it.
I'd like to see him get going. Maybe something like that can spark him.
Yeah, he just got the sense with every miss last night, including one on an alley-oop, that he was pressing more and more. Down to 2 minutes to go in the half. Newkirk whipped it out to Artis. Long 2, tipped in by Michael Young. First basket for Young, the Panthers' leading scorer for the year. He's averaging 15 points per game. Foster, that might have been tipped by Newkirk. If not, it was way off. Ochebo had the ball, trying to hand it to a guard, and there was a foul in the backcourt on Javon Thomas, his second.
Christian, take a look at this baseline drive now. This is organized dribble penetration. You drive baseline, you know that weak side slot is open for the shooter, but that leads to the tip in by Michael Young. And then watch Justin Edwards from the top of the key. No one checks him out. He comes flying down the lane.
Young goes out to a nice hand from the Pitt fans. Robinson at the line. He's off to a great start shooting free throws this year. Now 24 to 26 with a 2 for 2 today. Makes the front end of a 1-1. And the lead grows to 7, matching Pittsburgh's largest lead. K-State had an early 7-point lead, its biggest. 4th in the ACC in assists per game last year. 6th in the nation in assists to turnover ratio. 4.1 assists for every turnover. That was best in Pitt history. They've had a lot of good guards, especially in recent years.
Well, they sure have. There's one sitting on that Pitt bench by the name of Brandon Knight. Paul Krauser, Levance Fields, among others.
And a guy named Sean Miller, who we'll see in the next game as the coach for Arizona. Gibson scores, and Thomas will have a chance for 3.
Great patience by Thomas Gibson right there. Caught the ball in the lane. Anytime you get 2 feet in the lane, the ball should come into you. Look at that. 2 feet in the lane, deliver the ball, and then good jump hook.
Brandon Knight didn't see the foul. It was on Ochebo. Gibson, much improved free throw shooter. Every year his percentage has gone up. Saw a very solid 74% this year. 64% for his career. And 3 for 3 from the line today. Approaching a minute to go in the first half. 3rd place game at this EA Sports Maui Invitational. Pittsburgh playing in this event for the first time. Young, a long 2, way short. Nigel Johnson in the push, and then the retreat.
Could have gone 2 for 1 there, but they're not going to do it.
We don't see college teams make anywhere near as much of an effort to do that as the pro teams do. Edwards the miss. Gibson on the weak side for the rebound. He'll go back to the line. Both teams are over the limit now, and the foul on Newkirk is his first.
You know, one of the reasons coaches don't want to go 2 for 1 is they don't want their athletic director to say, why'd that kid take a bad shot? Because you got to take a quick shot there in order to get the good shot at the end of the clock, and coaches don't practice that. Bill Self actually does it, and among others, Freddie Hoiberg, Kevin Ollie, guys with NBA experience.
Couldn't the coach just say to the athletic director, because we were trying to go 2 for 1 and get 2 shots?
Then you have to explain basketball to the guy, okay?
And you're saying most ADs don't understand basketball.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
They're too busy talking to the football coaches. And now Pittsburgh, you would think, would just take the last shot with the shot clock off.
Although their athletic director is a football guy.
Steve Peterson. Robinson has to be careful, not careful enough. A 5 count as he was closely guarded by Nigel Johnson. Or did they give him the timeout first? Well, once officials signaled a 5-second count, but apparently they're giving Pittsburgh a timeout. Well, there was some confusion for about half of that timeout. Bruce Weber thought it was his team's ball, and then he was told it's Pittsburgh's ball. They did not charge Pittsburgh with a 5-second violation. They gave him the timeout instead. Newkirk splits the top of the defense. Contact and an offensive foul is the call. Second foul on Josh Newkirk.
Newkirk had no choice. Clock running down. He had to go. And there's that late whistle, which I don't mind as long as they get the call right.
And now Kansas State has called timeout. Jamie Dixon displeased with something regarding the officiating. Interesting, Fran. We saw in that last possession Luther beyond the three-point line, and now K-State knows they need to get up on him.
Well, he's a weapon, and so is Cam Johnson. Both of those guys have been really, really terrific and outstanding. I watched them practice 3 weeks ago. They were impressive, but the plan was to see if they could save their year with the red shirts. But watch these guys. Good pass by Luther, and then the junior James Robinson, who I really have enjoyed watching him in this tournament. Because as you've mentioned a number of times, Sean, they need a guy to play with some aggressiveness. And I'll mention again, you watch a lot of quarterbacks who are safe quarterbacks and make easy throws and their percentages are high. Got to take some chances, and I'll live with some turnovers if he stays aggressive.
They get it into Williams. He's going to have to heave one from three-quarter court, and it's halftime. Back and forth game. Each team had a 7-point lead. Jamie Dixon and the Pitt Panthers walk off up by 3. On the strength of 4 out of 7 from beyond the arc, and better bench play than the Wildcats received. At the half, Pitt 30 and K-State 27. Now let's send you back to Jonathan Coachman, Seth Greenberg, and Jay Williams in the studio. It's the Land Rover halftime report.
You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
And we welcome you back to the EA Sports Maui Invitational in its 31st year. A staple of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. This is the third place game, and Pittsburgh leads Kansas State by 3 at the half. They've shot the ball better than the Wildcats, particularly from beyond the arc, and they lead in bench points. 6 of 13 bench points to Pitt from Ryan Luther. Welcome back, Sean McDonough and Fran Fraschilla. What jumped out at you about that first half?
I don't think either one of us expected a high-octane game, and we don't have that. But Pittsburgh, particularly at the end of the first half, really efficient, I thought, with their offense. They're shooting nearly 50%. Watch the drive and the kick. This is called organized dribble penetration. You drive baseline, but you know where your other 4 teammates are. Nicely done, freshman to freshman, Luther and Johnson. And then another example of here, good offense. Jones in the lane, out to Ryan Luther. He knocks it down. Very impressive those freshmen as well, Sean, in the first half.
Luther starts the second half on the bench. Jamie Dixon begins the second half with the same 5-some that started the game. This is Michael Young, the handoff to James Robinson, along with Jamel Artis, Derek Randall, and Chris Jones. And that 5-some turned it over. Marcus Foster the other way to Javon Thomas, Nino Williams, Thomas Gibson, and Wesley Owundu. Gibson found the open man again. Pittsburgh attacked Gibson, trying to get him to pass it off. And it worked from time to time for him, but Gibson still was the leading scorer in the first half for K-State with 9.
Sometimes when you throw it out of the double team, Sean, you got to repost and ask for it right back. That was well designed, and a wonder just couldn't knock it down.
Young just 2 points in the first half. Still has 2. Rebound down to Javon Thomas, point guard, his 3rd rebound of the ball game. Just underway, second half. Neither team has scored since the break. Minute and a half into the second half. Pittsburgh leading K-State 30-27. Strong move to the bucket. Gibson hit the deck. No call. 2 more for Michael Young.
It's got to be something there. Block or charge, call something. Can't have that much contact at the rim. Hook.
Yes, and the officials agree. Randy McCall and Jeff Nichols both blew the whistle to call the offensive foul. And a little swim move by Thomas Gibson, his second foul.
He's much better on the other side of the court. He's more adept at spinning off the trap. But here he needs that hook to free himself, and that's an easy call.
2 minutes played second half. Now Pittsburgh leading 32-27. Good ball movement. Jones, high arcing three. Had to give a little more height on it with Foster flying out on him. A 1-2 one-on-one on Artis. Spun into a double team with Randall. Williams, a nice job to tip it back out for K-State. Foster, sophomore, preseason all Big 12. Missed the floater. Randall, good position inside. Gibson held his ground, and Randall missed from in tight. K-State still hasn't scored in the second half. Thomas will have a chance to get them on the score sheet as he was fouled by Jamel Artis, his second.
I like what Javon Thomas did right there. They bogged down in the half court a number of possessions, and that time he saw the crease and he said, I'm going to make something happen. Watch, take a look now. Watch. See, Pitt's done a good job normally getting back in transition. They know K-State's a half-court team. That time he pushed the pace and it was effective.
Thomas now 1 out of 3 from the line. He has the only 2 misses from the line for K-State. They're 8 out of 10 as a team. That's their first point of the second half. 4-point game. Robinson with 10 to shoot. Young one-on-one on Williams. Drove him to the bucket and got fouled. Second foul on Nino Williams, and a chance for a 3-point play for Michael Young.
Went body to body on this. He initiated the contact, and Williams at 6'5", really not a post presence at the rim. Michael Young knows that. And a good job of warding off the defender with his body.
Sophomore from the Pittsburgh area. Grew up in McKeesport, about 12 miles from the Pitt campus. Always wanted to play for Pitt. Went away to go to high school to St. Benedict's in New Jersey. Played on a national high school runner-up team. Jamel Artis was his roommate there. Now his teammate at Pitt. Timeout, K-State. Another double team coming at Gibson, and that time he couldn't pass out of it. Pittsburgh by a touchdown early in the second half here on Maui. Iron Bowl is on ESPN. Auburn trying to upset top-ranked Alabama in a rematch of last year's epic Iron Bowl, won in dramatic fashion at home by Auburn. ESPN college football. Number 15 Auburn, the top-ranked team in the country, Alabama, Saturday night at 7:45 Eastern on ESPN. Big weekend of college football upcoming on ESPN networks and ABC. Hands up, hands up, 20 seconds to shoot as K-State plays it in. The Wildcats still looking for their first field goal of the second half. Vern Harris has a whistle away from the ball. And it's on Chris Jones, his second.
He's been shadowing Marcus Foster all night, and he's done a reasonably good job. Marcus Foster not getting the kind of looks that he got in the first 2 games.
Foster was doubled. He had the pass out of it. A 1-2 long 2 from the corner, and the rebound to Jamel Artis. His 4th rebound. Artis, as we mentioned, was a roommate of Michael Young at St. Benedict's. He also played at Notre Dame Prep in Pittsburgh, Massachusetts. That's the same school that sent Stephen Adams, the New Zealander, Carl Krauser onto Pittsburgh. Bill Barton, an assistant on the Pitt staff, was once the head coach there. I'm obligated to have at least one reference to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts per half. Robinson spinning. Luther. Ball moves quickly. Artis moves nicely to the bucket, and a chance for 3.
Roommates.
Largest lead for either team, and Pittsburgh will have a chance to add to the lead with the free throw when we come back. 15:03 to go in the 3rd place game in Maui. Tonight's EA Sports Maui Invitational Championship game between number 3 Arizona and 15th ranked San Diego State is part of ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic, a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the NCAA tournament. That's over on ESPN tonight, 7 Eastern time, 5 o'clock here in the beautiful Hawaiian Islands. TJ McConnell doing his usual great work with the ball. 15 assists in 2 games and adding some scoring as well.
And one of the better defenders in the country. His steal rate right now about 7%. That's 7 every 100 possessions. And he's going to have to do yeoman's work on both ends tonight. As little brother San Diego State, no longer the little brother, they've grown up, takes on big brother out on the West Coast, Arizona.
And based on what we've seen here, I think San Diego State is the favorite to win that game tonight.
I would say based on the first 80 minutes, I would agree with you.
In the case of San Diego State, the first 90 minutes, because they did have the double overtime game Monday against BYU, and that might be a factor. They've had a more taxing trip through the first 2 rounds to get to tonight's championship game. Artis completed the old-fashioned 3-point play, and with 15 minutes to go, Pittsburgh has the game's largest lead, up by 10. Chris Jones called for the foul that elicited groans from the Pittsburgh partisans, his 3rd foul.
Well, that's a big foul because Chris Jones started on Marcus Foster and has had that responsibility for most of the night, and he's done a very good job of shadowing the outstanding scorer so far in this tournament.
Lob and the bucket. Edwards, his 2nd field goal, both of them been right at the rim. Pittsburgh's done a great job for him guarding the 3. K-State for the year has averaged 7 3-point field goals made per game coming in. They've had only 1 tonight, 1 out of 7 from beyond the arc. That was by Foster early in the game. And the officials tightening it up here, it seems, a little bit. Just a little grazed by Thomas, but it drew the whistle, and it's the 3rd foul on Javon Thomas.
James Robinson once again taking it to that Kansas State defense, trying to get into the paint. He's done a very good job of that tonight.
Luther wants another 3, his 3rd of the night.
He does not mind the big stage. This guy did not play early in the season and made his first appearance on Friday night against Hawaii out here in Maui.
Performance tonight, his career high, 9 points for Ryan Luther. Just got called for his first foul. He had 5 points last night, which was his previous career high.
Watch this, with a roll and replace. You see Luther replaces Michael Young, and he's got a really pretty stroke.
Gibson's 5 for 5 from the line.
You mentioned how Pitt's taking away the three-point line, and they have done a great job. And then guess what? When the ball goes inside to Gibson, they double team it out of his hands. And you know, they're Kansas State right now stuck in between. Where do they get their offense?
A little pressure now. Creating turnovers has been such a big part of K-State's successes in the early part of the season. They've only turned Pitt over 8 times so far. The problem for the Panthers in that loss last night, San Diego State, 17 turnovers. Unusual for them. Shot clock under 10 as Newkirk weaves through the traffic. Down to 5 now. Robinson guarded by Nigel Johnson. Need a shot. Artis a miss. Rebound Justin Edwards. All the way to the goal. Gibson had his hands on it. Artis. Foster very demonstrative. He thought it was clean. Instead he got called for his second foul.
The reason he may have had a point here is because the pass was thrown almost at Foster, so watch. What'd you see there?
I thought he had his left forearm on the body of Artis, enough to impact the play. I didn't think so live, and it was right in front of us.
Yeah, exactly. And he almost threw the ball to Foster, but Artis did a good job of creating that contact.
Newkirk out of Word of God Academy in Raleigh. On Wall, C.J. Leslie played there. Missed a floater. 12.5 to go. Pittsburgh by 9. We talked last night about how Marcus Foster said he'd like to play point guard, and one of the reasons he thinks it could be a good idea is he turns it over. And here's Luther on the run out. He thinks Edwards could be a prolific scorer as the 2 guard in his usual spot off the ball. But right now, Edwards is giving them very little offense.
Little offense, and you know, I still think Marcus Foster, what he does so well is get shots up. But Pittsburgh has done a terrific job of staying with him.
Underneath, Harris the bucket. And a timeout called by Bruce Weber. First basket of the night for the freshman, Malik Harris. They missed their first 2 games of the season at home with a shoulder injury. He originally committed to Marquette, but changed his mind after they had the coaching change there. So it was a late addition to Kansas State. Didn't commit to them until May.
Good, high energy guy. He'll be a good Bruce Weber player. Let's watch Chris Jones now, the young man from New Jersey. Good size at about 6'6". Watch him chase Marcus Foster wherever he goes. Jones is going to stay in his grill. He's not going to help off as much. He's just going to be primarily responsible for making sure that on the catch, Foster's got somebody right in his face. That's really, really good defense.
And typical of Pittsburgh, you see the effort they expend, and it's quite simple for Jamie Dixon. If you don't play defense, you don't play.
That's how they built. You know, when you think of Pittsburgh, right? What do you think of? Toughness, grit, Steelers, defense, and it's interesting how Ben Howland built the program. Jamie Dixon carried it over. The typical Pittsburgh grittiness, and that's been a part of this program for a long time.
Full court pressure, and it's batted out of bounds by Nigel Johnson. And that gets us to a media timeout. The coaches will have to think of something new and interesting to say. Maybe tell a joke. All right, Coach, thank you. Interesting debate right now. Which is the best team on the West Coast? Arizona, the highest ranked team. Out west, number 3 this week. San Diego State's 15th.
A lot of Pittsburgh flavor in this tournament. The Panthers playing, former Panther coaching the team, and T.J. McConnell, another Pittsburgh area guy who's hung his hat in Tucson.
You think Arizona's clearly the best team in the western part of the country right now?
I think the two best teams in the West are playing tonight. I really do, and it's been that way. You think about it the last 5 years, and I said big brother and little brother because if you're a kid playing at San Diego State, there's a chance you grew up wanting to play at Arizona. Now that you're playing Arizona, that's been a good rivalry. And although Sean, Arizona's won the last 3, San Diego won the 2 before that.
I think Gonzaga might be the best of all of them.
You know what? I was thinking of the southern part of the West.
Okay.
You're right. You are. I've seen Gonzaga. They are really good. My mistake.
No. I could have been more specific. Framing the question. 9 points for Young. 11-point lead for Pittsburgh, matching the largest. And K-State hasn't been able to get one 3-point shot up in this half. That's been a big weapon for them this year, but Pittsburgh doing a great job guarding beyond the arc. Malik Harris, that's a double dribble. Well, he's new to college basketball, but he'll learn. That's not allowed. 11 turnovers for K-State. Josh Newkirk, guarded by Javon Thomas. Artis traveled. 9 Pittsburgh turnovers.
When players go side to side on that fake, it's almost always a travel. You're better off shot faking, going up and down. When you go side to side, even if you don't travel, it looks like a travel.
Thomas brings it up slowly. Edwards back on the floor with Gibson, Johnson, and Williams. Edwards kicked it into the corner for a 3 that would not go. Nigel Johnson short from the corner, and running the court is Michael Young. Pittsburgh has opened up a 13-point lead. Thomas, a good look at a 3 finally.
That's not something you see very often from Javon Thomas.
In fact, that's Thomas's first 3 of the season. One for 5 from beyond the arc. Wow, count the basket. Might have been a no call, but they called the foul on Edwards.
That's a staple of Josh Newkirk. He's got this little floater game. Watch him just release it early. And I think you're right. Not much there.
And they called it on Williams, pardon me, and that's his 4th. And I think they could have let that go.
Incidental, in my opinion.
But who am I to tell Vern Harris what to do? He's worked 7 Final Fours. Veteran officials over here. As we mentioned, they all like to come over here. Hank Nichols, who is in charge of the officiating, always assembles a terrific group. The officials who have worked this tournament have a combined 156 NCAA tournaments and 23 Final Fours. There's Hank Nichols. In the Basketball Hall of Fame, Hank, one of the great officials of all time. Are you holding any grudges against Hank from yesteryear? You're very silent here.
Vern Harris refereed a lot of my games, and I told him before the tournament, you're a lot better. You get better every year I leave coaching.
Stephen Hurd a miss, but Gibson's in the right place. You ever had a player do this? I mentioned yesterday, Stephen Hurd played at Northwest Florida Junior College down near Destin for Steve DeMeo, the former Providence College assistant under Timmy Welsh. And Steve said what a wonderful young man he is and a good student. He said when he showed up He asked if the team could use the ball that he likes. The particular brand of basketball.
Depends on how good you are.
He liked, and he was wondering if maybe the team would switch and use his favorite ball.
Oh, that's a push-off.
Newkirk called for the foul as he knocked Nigel Johnson to the deck, and that's the third foul on Josh Newkirk.
You just can't extend. Now watch Newkirk right here. See, he just pushes off. That's easy. And you got 3 officials, and there's an official right in the slot there that can see that, and that's just good pressure defense.
Hurt. He had a lot of opportunities, Hurt, to go back to Division I. Out of the junior college last year, Edwards scores. Indiana was very interested. Wichita State. And Hurt elected to come to K-State, play for Bruce Weber. And the Wildcats with a little momentum on their side now. And Jamie Dixon has called a timeout with the Pittsburgh lead down to 8 with 8:04 remaining. The Orlando Classic gets underway tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day, on ESPN2, beginning at noon with Santa Clara against Tennessee. Then Kansas takes on Rhode Island. Rhode Island already with a big win over a ranked team in Nebraska. Michigan State and Rider, Marquette and Georgia Tech. The rest of the action in Orlando. ESPN is the home court of college hoops.
Can I work on my pronunciations of international players? Kansas has a starting guard right now who's 17 years old. He won't turn 18 until June. Sviatoslav Mikhailuk. How'd I do? Mikhailuk. Sounds like I just had a bad piece of salmon.
Yeah.
And I'm going out to the men's room.
Well, I think you could have pronounced it almost any way, and very few of us would know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's the trick. Nobody knows whether I have it right. Jamie Dixon gives you his money's worth on the sidelines. He coaches like he's still playing at TCU.
There's a fine guard at TCU, all Southwest Conference for the Horned Frogs. Played overseas.
Played in New Zealand, and that's how he came up with Steven Adams, the outstanding young prospect of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Lead down to 8 with under 8 to go. Jamel Artis now. Luther open for another 3. Off the mark that time. Nigel Johnson started to push. They go into Gibson, trying to turn before the double team. Short with the shot. Edwards got it back and then threw it away. James Robinson trying to get the officials' attention. And now he has Randy McCall's attention. Apparently the ball is very slick.
He knew there was a media timeout coming. Smart kid.
You would expect that from a product of DeMatha Catholic. Timeout.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Maui Visitors and Convention Bureau and visitmaui.com.
All right, Coach. Thank you, Coach, and the air traffic controller back there tonight, keeping the people abreast of where the action is. Pittsburgh leads by 8. Playing their 4th game here on Maui. Played Hawaii Friday night, not in the EA Sports Maui Invitational, over in Wailuku, about 45 minutes from here. Lost that one. They're trying to finish at 2-2, and the Pittsburgh radio crew, for the 4th game in a row, has the exact same shirts on. I don't think they bought 4 of those each. I hope there's a dry cleaning bill in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. I hope they can expense that. Nice colors.
Looks good on you, though. Stephen Hurt called for the foul as Michael Young hit the deck. First foul on Hurt, who didn't like that call. He's a very good player. He actually spent 2 seasons in Division I at Lipscomb down in Nashville. Was the Atlantic Sun Conference Freshman of the Year. Averaged 11 points, 8 rebounds, had 8 double-doubles as a freshman. And played his best against good competition. A double-double against Kentucky. When he was at Lipscomb, a double-double against Memphis. Went to junior college for a year, and now at K-State, and you have to think he's a guy who can really help the Wildcats in that very competitive Big 12 this year.
As many big bodies as you can rustle up, as they say in the Big 12, the better.
K-State over the limit with that foul, and Young made the front end of the 1-1.
Steve DeMayo's got a beautiful 5,000-seat arena at Northwest Florida State. I know we're not supposed to be recruiting for him, but
they're undefeated down there too.
Yeah.
8-0, I believe, the last time I talked to Coach DeMayo. There's a guy who's going to get a big head coaching job sometime soon. Not that living in Florida isn't nice. Steve is enjoying it, certainly. Thomas, little stop and go move. Edwards for 3. Batted around and out of bounds off the hands of Chris Jones. So it'll be K-State ball with under 7 minutes to go, and the Wildcats trailing by 10.
You see where Javon Thomas threw that pass to Edwards down by his ankles? He's got to know, you got to put it right on his mitts. And got to be more accurate with that pass.
Kansas State came in to this game for the year shooting 49% from the floor. They're under 37% tonight against this very good Pitt defense. And we'll see two of the best defensive teams in the country in the championship game coming up next on ESPN. Arizona and San Diego State. The Pitt defense makes the shot clock go all the way down, and then Nigel Johnson turned it over, the 13th by K-State.
That was multiple efforts that time. 5 guys working together. They guarded pick and roll. They guarded drive. Excellent.
Robinson, nice move. Got Johnson in the air. The shot wouldn't go. But Robinson will get back to the free throw line. First foul on Nigel Johnson.
Watch the white jerseys now. Everybody helping each other. Now it's a low clock. You see the white shirts converge, forced the turnover.
And no sign of fatigue. Third game in as many days, and the 4th game over here for Pitt since Friday. Robinson perfect from the line. Now 5 for 5.
After that loss on Friday night, as you know, they took off Saturday from actually physically practicing, but they spent 3 hours dissecting the loss to Hawaii, and it's important you do that when you're going to play this many games. Sometimes it's as much mental out here, especially when you're not playing well.
Lead back to 12. Robinson has 12. He's a candidate to be on the all-tournament team with double-figure scoring in all 3 games. No basket. Foul before the shot. And it's on Robinson, his second.
Good cut right there. Double team. Gibson knows where to go with the ball.
16 fouls against Pitt, so the next one puts them over the limit. We'll have free throws the rest of the way. Seems to me, friend, they need to find a way to get Marcus Foster some shots. He's clearly their best scorer.
And they normally do a good job of that because you normally screen well. These are tough shots right here.
Yeah, Thomas drew no iron with that. It's 2 for 11 for K-State from beyond the line. Robinson guarded by Thomas. 5 minutes to go. Jones for 3.
James Robinson, when he gets a piece of the paint off the dribble, he gets his teammates open. He's done that superbly tonight.
That was the first bucket of the ball game for Jones, and it gives the Panthers their largest lead of the night now, 15 points, with time running out, 4.5 minutes to go. Wesley Awundu. Nino Williams, nicely done. Boy, he's very impressive, very smooth along the baseline.
It gives you a lot of energy. He's Below the rim guy, but for 4 years, he's been a guy you can count on to give you reliable minutes.
Jones just got his first bucket on a three. Now have a chance for three at the line. Gibson, the foul, his third. And the folks who've made the trip from western Pennsylvania starting to sense that the Panthers are going to get a very big early season win here on Maui. Coming up next, the EA Sports Maui Invitational Championship game. The San Diego State Aztecs arriving, ready to take on Arizona. Those two teams will meet for the third time in just over a calendar year. They played twice last season. Two of the best defensive teams in the country. Last season, they were both in the top 6 in the country in scoring defense. San Diego State was second behind only Virginia. And again this year, both the Wildcats and Aztecs holding their opponents to under 60 points per game. Chris Jones, one shot, trying to finish a three-point play. And the rebound to Justin Edwards.
You understand why he might miss that free throw short, because he's been running around on defense as well, guarding Marcus Foster.
Gibson turned to try to feed Williams, and Michael Young saw it coming. Robinson. Are they to the point now, Fran, where you intentionally run down some clock with under 3:20 to go?
Exactly. Used to have a rule, we called it the 7 game. We wanted to make 7 passes with this kind of lead before we looked to shoot it. And that's exactly what Pitt seems to be doing now, putting the game on ice just a little bit.
Robinson a miss. That's his first missed shot of the game. He was perfect from the floor and from the line. Meanwhile, Foster with the ball, friend, has taken just 1 shot this half. He's 0 for 1. He found Williams, who missed a shorty, and it looks like a little bit of the fight has gone out of the Wildcats here.
Chris Jones, we've mentioned him a number of times. He's done just a yeoman's job defensively on Marcus Foster.
Jamie Dixon calls timeout with 2.5 minutes to go, and his team up by 15. Coverage of the battle for Atlantis continues on Thursday. That'll be tomorrow on ESPN. It's the semifinals. One semifinal is set. James Verschilla has led Oklahoma into the semis against Butler, and Wisconsin hammered UAB. The number 2 team in the country will get the winner of Florida and Georgetown. Heard them saying today Florida has the 6 scholarship players active right now.
Yep, Dorian Finney-Smith's out, Chris Walker's out, Eli Carter's been hurt. Chris Jones, not the best player to ever come out of Teaneck High School. That would be Tony Campbell, former Ohio State Buckeye and NBA player, but he's done a tremendous job tonight. Look at the ball hawking, shadowing Marcus Foster, Sean, who came in averaging 24 points a game in this tournament, and he's given him, Jamie Dixon, some offense as well. You know who else is from Teaneck? Doug Glanville and Lawrence Frank.
One of our ESPN baseball colleague, former major leaguer Lawrence Frank, the basketball coach.
And Eric Bozeman, one of our crack ESPN producers. I'm sorry. Useless information.
I'm just going to name random high schools around the country and see how many alums you can come up with. Shot clock at 2. Robinson got the bounce from these very friendly rims here at the Lahaina Civic Center. I might have cemented the very prestigious Barbasol Player of the Game award for James Robinson. Gibson a miss. Robinson the snatch. There's a foul against Jamel Artis of Pittsburgh. His third. Well, we are told now it is official. Our blue ribbon panel of experts from around the globe have selected James Robinson as the player of the game. Perfect from the line. He's missed only 2 all year, 5 assists.
Been a 3-year starter, highly recruited, top 50 player. He's got a lot of USA basketball experience. He helped Billy Donovan win the under-19 World Championships last year.
And typical Bart experience, Fran, covering a lot of pick games over the years. They get nice kids.
Yes.
He's a very nice young man, very intelligent young man. But there's a culture in their program. There's a way they expect you to play on the court and out all the time. And there's a way they expect you to conduct yourself off the court and just step out of line. The players take care of it. The Jamie Dixons of the world and his coaches really don't have to do much along those lines. Artis the dunk. He has 10. Under a minute and a half to go. K-State is going to come over here and go 1-2 with the win over Purdue, and then losses to Arizona and Pittsburgh. And the Panthers got the win they really need as Luther adds to his point total with just more than a minute to go. 13 points for Ryan Luther. They're going to redshirt him. Maybe it's a good thing they didn't have much depth and needed to use him, because he's going to be a factor for them this year. So they'll go home at 2-2 on the trip to Hawaii. And 2-1 in this tournament. And it was a big deal that their only win in this tournament wasn't against Chaminade. They'll also have the win against K-State.
That flight back to Pittsburgh, the meal they serve will be like filet mignon coming off a win, because I can tell you from experience, you go 2-1 in the Maui Invitational. It means you didn't win the tournament, but it means you've got 2 quality wins, and they needed this win, maybe even more than Kansas State did.
Well, a lot of big names in the house, as is so often the case. There's Shane Victorino, Maui native, outfielder for the Red Sox. Just had his big charity golf tournament here a few days ago. Mitch Richmond starred at Kansas State on Lon Kruger in the late 80s. Now scouting in the NBA. And the teams for the championship game getting ready to go. San Diego State Aztecs and the Arizona Wildcats. Balanced scoring for the Pitt Panthers on their way to the 3rd place finish. Robinson 14 points tonight to lead them. Young and Luther 13 apiece, and Artis with 10. And the native Hawaiian Joshua Ko, the walk-on, gets in the game a bit to the delight of his many family members and friends. Former Gatorade Player of the Year here in the state of Hawaii, number 22. And he might get into the scorebook on a reach-in foul. He does. Played on the island of Oahu. He's from Kailua, Hawaii. Played for Alika Smith, his high school coach, who's a friend of Jamie Dixon. Coach Smith played at Hawaii when Jamie was an assistant there to Riley Wallace. Jamie recruited Smith to Hawaii.
Joshua just lost his trill because he, the 1 minute and 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Got a foul now.
Got a foul.
No trill.
Working on stuffing the stat sheet, but right now it's just the foul. They'd love to see him get up some shots here.
Well, he can shoot it, and he had a prolific career.
Yeah, he was the Gatorade Player of the Year as a senior in high school. 2 times first team All-State. Played on a state championship team in high school. Another walk on Mike Lesak into the game, and he is on the score sheet with a bomb from beyond the arc.
Pittsburgh bench loves that. These walk-ons work hard every day.
2nd basket of the year for Lesak. Actually, his first field goal, his 2 points this year were from the line.
Yeah, these guys show up every day. They take a beating. They work hard. They play on a scout team. They're part of all the drills, and see the bench in the background. Happy for Mike Lesak.
He's a transfer from Wheeling Jesuit University. He played on the basketball team there. James Robinson goes out to a nice hand. Lesak wants to coach one day. Marcus Mason Schoen, a walk-on for K-State on the game, and he let one fly. Ryan Roletter also in. Sean Meyer. 3 walk-ons for K-State. Now here's Cole. The Hawaiian crowd wants him to score, and he does. Look at that pitch. And a standing ovation as Joshua Cole, the native Hawaiian, comes home and scores in the EA Sports Maui Invitational. They're mobbing him like they just won the national championship. Well, he spent a lot of hours in practice as a walk-on, waiting for his moment to shine. Then it comes at home. We'll see you shortly over on ESPN with the championship game.